apply explicitly to anyone who unlawfully possesses a voter's card, sells or attempts
Adbn, a part of you.
In our headlines, federal government launches campaign to combat child malnutrition. Senate President Adbn advocates stronger grassroots development. FCT Minister Wike expands Abuja recreational infrastructure. On the foreign scene, U.S. introduces visa ban scheme for 30 African countries. In sport, Team Nigeria departs for the World Athletics Under-20 Championships. I am Princess. AKZ now details of the news. The presidency has criticized ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar for allegedly relying on outdated figures to assess the impact of the Tinubu administration's economic reforms. Special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanaga, dismissed claims of excessive borrowing, mismanagement of fuel subsidy savings, and punitive tax reform, saying Atiku's arguments were detached from current economic realities. Onanaga said economic reforms are ongoing processes and should be assessed using current data rather than past figures, insisting that the administration's policies have produced significant results. The Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill says the executive bill package will be presented to President Bola Tinubu on September 3, 2026. Chairman of the group and Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, made this known after its inaugural meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said the completed draft would undergo stakeholder consultations before submission, urging the public to submit memoranda, position papers, and practical proposals on the proposed policing framework. Now, Vice President Kashim Shettima has defended the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu's administration, saying they have helped boost Nigeria's foreign reserves. Speaking at the Delta Economic and Investment Summit in Asaba, Shettima said the reserves have risen from about $3 billion amid capital flight to approximately $52 billion. He commended the administration's reforms, while Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriori announced $100 million in viability gap funding to support new investments, and disclosed that over 12,000 hectares of farmland had been earmarked for agricultural development. Meanwhile, Pan-Africanist and Kenyan lawyer Patrick Lumumba has urged African leaders to look inward for investment, saying fellow Africans should be treated as key partners in the continent's development. Speaking at the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit in Asaba, Lumumba said Africa possesses the financial and intellectual capacity to drive its own development. He also called for easier movement across African countries, including the removal of visa restrictions to promote stronger economic cooperation and investment within the continent. Senate Committee on Public Accounts has issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the NNPCL, CBN, NDDC, NUPRC, and other agencies to appear before it over outstanding audit queries. The committee took the decision after officials of the invited agencies failed to appear or provide explanations for their absence. Chairman of the committee, Senator Ibrahim Dankwambo, said the agencies must appear on August 6, warning that failure to comply could attract further legislative action. Federal government has launched the first 1,000 Days of Life nutritional, social, and behavior change campaign to tackle child malnutrition and improve breastfeeding rates nationwide. The campaign was launched in Abuja as part of activities marking the 2026 World Breastfeeding Week, with government officials and health experts calling for increased investment and community support for maternal and child nutrition. Representing the Coordinating Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the ministry's Permanent Secretary Daju Kacholam said breastfeeding remains a cost-effective intervention for child survival and development. She announced that while 95% of Nigerian mothers breastfeed, only 29% exclusively breastfeed their babies for the first 6 months, stressing the need for stronger policies and support to improve the figures. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says effective grassroots governance is key to rural development as it strengthens local economies and improves the living standards of residents. Senator Akpabio, represented by his wife, Dr. Mrs. Unoma Ekaite Akpabio, made the remark on Monday while commissioning projects in any local government area of Akwa State.
Commission this project on behalf of the Senate President, in the name of God.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio, represented by his wife, Dr. Mrs. Unoma Ekaite Akpabio, commissioned several projects for residents of Ini local government area. During a courtesy visit, paramount ruler of Ini local government, His Royal Majesty Edidem Udoite Edon, commended the cordial working relationship between the President of the Senate and the Governor of Akwa Ibom State.
The Senate President
Also speaking, Chairman of Ini local government area, Honorable Inibege Umar, and member representing Ini state constituency, Honorable Lawrence Udoide, praised the Senate President for executing people-oriented projects.
They come here to buy our agri-produce in the local government. The local government is known as the food basket of Akwa Ibom State. And so, Mommy, thank you for this particular one again. You've done it, you are doing it again and again.
As a parliamentarian, what executive needs, from the executive chairman to the executive governor to the president of any country, what he needs is a peaceful legislature. What he needs is a cooperative legislature.
Projects commissioned include an ultra-modern town hall at 9 Enikbe, a community primary school and market stores at Iteikbe, a solar-powered borehole, and several other community projects. Dr. Mrs. Unoma Ekaite Akpabio urged youths to reject violence, embrace peace, and support initiatives that foster sustainable development.
The peace we are enjoying in the state is not ordinary. It is only the grace of God that made it possible. And we seem to take it for, we shouldn't take it for granted. Anywhere you see Pastor Mweno, tell him thank you. Anywhere you see Senator Akpabio, tell him thank you. All your thanks, they will carry it to the President of the nation. We commissioned this project on behalf of the Senate President, in the name of God the Father, Amen. God the Son, Amen. God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Several projects ranging from roads to market stores to town halls as well as classroom blocks have been commissioned by the President of the Senate in a local government area, aimed at boosting rural development and improving the livelihood of residents within this community. In a local government area, David Isong, Adbn News.
We are switched on the water for our...
As part of FCT administration's broader drive to expand recreational infrastructure for Abuja residents, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesawike, has announced plans to transform the abandoned recreational garden at the Life Camp roundabout into a modern leisure and sporting facility. The move follows the successful remodeling of the Abuja City Gate, which has become a major attraction since its commissioning during activities marking President Bola Tinubu's third anniversary in office. Speaking after inspecting the Life Camp Garden, Barrister Wike said the recognition from the First Lady had further motivated administration to invest in more green and recreational spaces across the nation's capital.
I made promise that we are going to turn around the recreation center at Life Camp, which have been abandoned. Having come here today, you can see what we're missing. It's unfortunate that government have come, government have gone, nobody have thought about this place. Let me commend the First Lady, and that is what we talk about, filling the gap, of reminding us of keeping areas where people will leave their homes, communities, and come to relax.
Barrister Wike disclosed that he had directed the FCT administration to immediately begin the process of redesigning the facility, stressing that the project would receive emergency attention.
We're going to treat this as an emergency. We're going to treat it as an emergency. It will not go to the normal, but to be on my emergency issue, because I believe we'll plead with them if they can give us what we want in 1 year's time, to see that the people of Abuja Life Camp, people living here, will not go back to say, oh, we want to travel to some place.
The minister also revealed plans to introduce an annual New Year fireworks display at the Abuja City Gate beginning this year, describing it as part of efforts to align Abuja with global capital cities. The planned redevelopment forms part of the FCT administration's ongoing efforts to improve the quality of life in Abuja by expanding access to green spaces, leisure parks, and recreational facilities for residents. Governor Abdullahi Saleh has described the defection of former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP and House of Representatives candidate Farida Umar to the All Progressive Congress APC as a good omen for the party in Nasarawa State. Receiving Farida Umar and her supporters, Governor Saleh commended her decision to join the APC despite contesting the last House of Representatives election on the platform of the PDP. He assured her of inclusion in the affairs of the party and government, a promise that drew applause from members of our delegation.
I want to, first and foremost, welcome you to a place where you belong. You naturally belong to this ship of success. You naturally belong because of your influence. And I really thank you, Honorable Farida Umar, and I thank all the other people that you came with. And I promise you that we will not let you down.
Also speaking, Deputy Governor Dr. Emmanuel Akabe and the APC National Director of the organization, Ahmed Wambai, praised Farida Umar's courage, saying her decision reflects growing confidence in Governor Saleh's leadership and developmental strides. Explaining her decision, Farida Umar said Governor Saleh's achievement in Nasarawa State and his contributions to national politics inspired her to leave the PDP and identify with the APC.
Today we have decided to come and join you to give you our grassroots experience, 99% loyalty. That is the most important thing, Your Excellency. We have seen. We don't need any seer to tell us what you have done in Nasarawa State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
That is the only way that we can effect the change that is desired when we come out to vote. And that is not to say that the government is not doing her best, but her best is not good enough at this point in time.
Father Archel also expressed concern over the country's security challenges, urging government and security agencies to intensify efforts to protect lives and improve the welfare of citizens.
But when insecurity becomes the order of the day,
and there is no enabling environment for people to grow, for people to thrive, then it becomes a problem. The government should be sensitive to the needs of people, to the plight of Nigerians. And they should try as hard as they can to see that every Nigerian's life is better. I am sure that Nigerians will be happy. We have to show love and solidarity to one and all. We cannot allow people to come and divide us. No. It is always beautiful when we are together. We are even stronger together. We are better together. And so no one should allow cracks in the world. No one should be a clog in the wheel. We should do our own best and encourage others to do so as well.
The cleric said responsible leadership, active voter participation, and improved security are critical to deepening Nigeria's democracy ahead of the 2027 general elections. In other reports, National Youth Service Corps NYSC has warned prospective Corps members that they will not be mobilized for national service without clearance from the National Electronic Registration Database, NERD. The scheme urged prospective Corps members to obtain the clearance early to avoid delays in their mobilization. NYSC said the requirement is mandatory for all prospective Corps members preparing for the next mobilization exercise. You're watching Adbn News at 7. Stay with us. We'll have more stories after this break.
Every second, a story breaks.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly.
The nation reacts. The world shifts. History moves in real time. Before the noise, before the opinions. One screen keeps you connected. From the headlines shaking the nation to the stories ever you know where to turn. Adbn, a part of you.
Every day across forests, highways, towns and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
Did you know the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will begin the distribution of permanent voter cards across Osun State from Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2026, ahead of the Osun State governorship election on Saturday, the 15th of August 2026. According to the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, the exercise is for newly registered voters, citizens who apply for a transfer of their voter registration, those who requested replacement of lost or damaged PVCs, as well as voters who are yet to collect their cards from previous registration exercises. PVC distribution will begin at the registration area centers from Wednesday, the 22nd of July, before moving to INEC local government area offices from Wednesday, the 29th of July, to Friday, the 7th of August, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily, including weekends. Remember, PVC collection is strictly personal. No one can collect your card on your behalf, and without your PVC, you cannot be accredited or vote on election day. As Osun prepares to elect its next governor and deputy governor, visit your designated PVC collection center before the deadline. Collect your permanent voter cards and take your place in deciding the future.
History was not taught in school, meaning that a good number of young Nigerians do not really know their history as Nigerians. Is there a need for such persons to deliberately study history? Well, joining us to add perspective for this is Dr. Leslie, the Executive Director of the African Center for Historical Studies. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, pleasure for having me. It's a real pleasure to represent the African Historical Society here as the Executive Director. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, let's start with the first question. What aspect of African history do you think is most misunderstood by Nigerians?
I would say several aspects are, fundamental aspects are misunderstood, and I think that one of them is that pre-colonial Africa was not a place of technological innovation, that pre-colonial Africa did not make significant contributions to the development of technology, sciences, knowledge, and that's simply not the case. And, we are an evidence-based institution. So while we do, look at oral histories, we test them against archaeological evidence and scientific evidence. And so historical archaeology is one of the pillars of our institution. One of the exciting things that our affiliated archaeologists have found as they have excavated in southwest Nigeria in particular, in Ile-Ife, in Ijebu, in Ibadan, is that Yoruba women were the innovators of pavements and the technology of paving. And interestingly, this is remembered in the oral histories, or as the Yoruba refer to them as the Oriki, as associating this technology with queens, like Queen Luo of Ife, or Queen Bilikisu of Ijebu, and women who developed ceramics, developed the technology for making potsherd and making glass from quartz, which they used to pave the entire city of Ife, from, starting in the 10th century through the 15th century. And this technology for paving seems to have spread throughout West Africa among women, an activity of women. And even the Portuguese took this technology apparently from West Africa and took it to Portugal and other places in the world. So this is an example of technology being exported from pre-colonial Africa. I think another example that we should take from the north of Nigeria is the misconception that northern women, Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri women were not educated. before colonialism. And in fact, dating back to the 16th century, there were highly erudite, educated Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri women and others. In fact, Usman Don Fodio's wife, Asma'u Fodio, was a great proponent, a great scholar, and a great proponent of mass literacy, as was Usman Don Fodio. And even before them, centuries before Don Fodio established the Sokoto Caliphate, there was literacy amongst Hausa women, and there were significant Hausa women, jurists, poets, writers, Islamic scholars. And so, in terms of the misconceptions that we have, many people don't realize that the exclusion of women from education was actually a result of colonialism. That appears to be a result of colonialism, and there were mass literacy campaigns that were quite successful in the North before then.
All right, thank you for that. Let me ask you the next question, which is, are there historical narratives that need to be corrected or revisited?
Yes, I would say, everything that I just mentioned. And then in addition to that, I think one of the primary issues is the misconception that we belong to tribes. This false tribal identity that has been a source of so much division and conflict, and that was really invented by colonial powers in order to foment and maintain a divide and rule approach to power and to the maintenance of power. Whereas, Nigerians are for the most part made up of empire builders. And anytime you have empire builders, what a tribe is a group of people who can be reduced to a common ancestor, who can be traced to a common ancestor. Whereas all of the large ethnic groups in Nigeria had complex sociological and political organization that is far more advanced than tribe. I mean, if we don't refer to the French and the English and the Germans as tribes, we should not be referring to ourselves as tribes. And so what tribes does also is it gives people the idea that their identity is inflexible, but that's not true. People have been absorbed into various ethnic groups based on the languages that they speak, based on migration patterns. And so when we deconstruct, when we do a sort of decolonial deconstruction of these sorts of paradigms, it's easier for us to identify with each other and understand how we have common history and common culture.
All right, then. I appreciate you for your presence and for your time here. Quite an eye-opening. But before I let you go, I'd just like you to speak briefly, like in 30 seconds, how African history should help us understand politics, economy, and social challenges, just in 30 seconds because of time, please.
Okay, well, if we're going to do just 30 seconds, then let me base it on what I was talking about, for example, with mass literacy being a cultural initiative that goes back to the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, pre-colonial period in Nigeria, so that when we're dealing with challenges like Boko Haram, and we want to know, how to address Boko Haram, we can go within our own cultural capital and within our own history for solutions that appeal to the cultural psychologies of people today in order to address these challenges.
Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate you for coming. Well, we've been speaking with Dr. Rachel Leslie. She's Executive Director. I'm sure I'm not getting all your portfolio. African Historical Society.
No problem.
Thank you so much for coming. We do appreciate your presence.
Thank
all
you
right,
for
you're
having
still
me.
watching Adbn News at 7. Stay with us for more stories after this break.
Did you know vote buying and vote selling is a criminal offense? Under Nigerian law, the punishments for vote buying and selling includes a fine of 5 million naira, a 2-year jail term, or both. Through strict legislative updates to the repealed Electoral Act 2022 ahead of the upcoming general elections, the National Assembly significantly stiffened these penalties. Under the current legal framework, Section 22 of the new Electoral Act 2026, the fine was escalated from previous limits, which capped punishment at 500,000 naira and 12 months in prison, to not less than 5 million naira and a jail term of not less than 2 years. Additionally, convicted offenders face a mandatory 10-year ban from contesting
infrastructure, job creation, and agricultural production. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation Joseph Utsev said the project forms part of the federal government's efforts to expand water infrastructure, improve food production, and create jobs. He said detailed engineering studies would commence after the preliminary assessment. National Emergency Management Agency NEMA has received 37 Nigerians who returned from Turkey through the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. NEMA said the returnees arrived aboard a chartered aircraft and were received through a coordinated process involving government agencies and humanitarian partners. The agency said the returnees underwent documentation, profiling, and medical screening alongside immediate humanitarian assistance before being handed over for further reintegration support. Humility and service has been identified as stepping stones to be embraced by people aspiring to positions of leadership and influence. Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umar Eno, gave the charge while delivering a lecture at the Special Leadership Summit organized by the Shepherd House Assembly in Abuja. Francisca Oga has details.
We are at the Shepherd's House Assembly, where the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umar Eno, has just delivered a teaching during the Special Leadership Summit organized by the Shepherd House Assembly.
The church was packed full and the congregation listened with rapt attention as Pastor Umar Eno, governor of Akwa Ibom State, gave a teaching on leadership backed with passages from the Bible and laced with true life experiences from his journey as a leader. He said, leaders are made in the secret place and often go through a period of test.
God will never give you a platform to amplify what you do if he does not trust your character. He will want to be sure that if I give you this platform, that your character, and the other will say character, your character must be good.
Speaking to journalists after the service, the governor shared how being a pastor has influenced his leadership style and called on leaders to always put the people they serve first.
First of all, it teaches you to serve the people with humility and dignity, with integrity. All of those are virtues that you carry as a child of God, but as a person, someone who has been speaking to others. It's now my time, maybe a test period, and I pray that God will find me worthy after this exercise. Every government is of God, and we must learn as citizens to support the government so that they can continue to achieve the purpose for which God has sent them. I believe, like I said, in engagement rather than chaos.
The senior pastor of the Shepherd House Assembly, Apostle Joshua Kalena, while fielding questions from journalists, described Pastor Umar Eno as a wise choice by the people of Akwa Ibom State.
This man is accountable He's a steward. He has humility. He loves the Lord. And I know he will do good for Bible people. Just 3 years, we can see the impact he's making already. And he has the anointing for grassroots. He's opening the grassroots, the local governments and the wards are opening up the impact of his government.
The theme of the Leadership Summit is the voice of influence and afforded the congregation the opportunity to learn from a serving leader.
From the Shepherd House Assembly in Abuja, Francisca Orga, ABN News.
And now to business. The equities market closed slightly high on Monday as the benchmark all-share index gained 0.85 points or 0.18% to settle at 245,730.53. Market capitalization rose by 288.44 billion naira to close at 158.61 trillion naira. However, market breadth remained negative with 29 gainers, 40 losers, and 78 unchanged stocks reflecting cautious investor sentiment. Turnover for the session stood at 922.99 million shares valued at 37.85 billion naira exchange in 72,474 deals. Leading the gainers chart, Caverton Offshore Support Group PLC rallied 10% to close at 5.50 naira. Eternal PLC matched that pace with a 10% gain to 36.30 naira, while Omatech Ventures PLC appreciated 9.88% to close at 1.78 naira. On the flip side, EcoBank Transnational Incorporated ETI paced the decliner stable down 9.95% to close at 80.10 naira. Cadbury Nigeria PLC trailed with a 9.90% loss to 58.10 naira, while Thomas White Nigeria PLC slipped 9.8% to close at 3.95 naira. By market activity, Access Holdings PLC emerged as the most actively traded stock by volume with 166.64 million shares exchanged, while Aradel Holdings PLC recorded the highest value of trades. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has launched a fully electronic registration platform for capital market operators, marking a major step in the digital transformation of Nigeria's capital market. A new e-registration system enables approved regulatory processes, including application submission, review, approvals, and communication, to be completed entirely online. SEC says the platform will reduce paperwork, shorten processing time, and improve transparency for market operators. The Commission, in a statement, says the digital platform will strengthen regulatory oversight through standardized workflows, secure electronic records, and improved audit trails, while enhancing the ease of doing business and market efficiency. According to the Commission, the rollout will be implemented in phases, with the current stage covering post-registration services for existing capital market operators. Adding that applications from new entrants will be integrated into the platform at a later date. Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni has approved immediate construction of 4 modern markets to boost trade, employment, tourism, and internally generated revenue. The market will be located in Sabangari, Bara, Girgir, and Ngilzerma along the 100-kilometer Damatru-Potiskum Road. The governor's media aide, Mama Mohammed, said the projects will strengthen local economies and improve livelihoods, adding that Buni has constructed 14 ultra-modern markets across the state since assuming office in 2019. Still in business, Lagos State government has paid 1.08 billion naira in accrued pension rights to 648 retirees of the state public service. The disbursement approved by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was made during the 115th Retirement Benefit Bond Certificate presentation ceremony in Lagos. Head of Service Bode Agoro said the payment reaffirmed the government's commitment to retirees' welfare and timely settlement of pension benefits under the contributory pension scheme. Moving on, men generally are expected to be providers, protectors, and pillars of strength, but behind those expectations, many are silently struggling with stress, anxiety, depression, and emotional burdens that rarely talk about. In this special report, we explore the realities of men's mental health, the stigma that keeps many suffering in silence, and why more voices are calling for conversations that could save lives. Our correspondent Jesse Morris reports.
Routine has a way of hiding things. The work gets done, orders are delivered, bills get paid, the days keep moving. From the outside, everything appears exactly as it should. But experiences have a way of leaving things out.
I spent most of my time here in my studio making clothes and sourcing fabrics and all of that. Sometimes talking about your problem, especially to people who don't know how you feel, is sometimes I feel is disturbing to them as well. So I just keep it to myself, and just keep it to myself. Yes.
Sometimes it's not just facing it heads on. It's about the individuals around you, building a good support system. And the support system, it's more like the basic, say the smallest, the family, the smallest unit of the society. So it can start from there as well. The words and how we show support and know that it's not, they go through this pressure and be there. Every help might not be just necessarily financially. Emotional support is also important. Psychological support, words of affirmations.
What happens when the people everyone depends on begin to carry more than they can say?
Whenever I remember that many people are depending on me for a lot, it makes me breathe up and breathe down. Sometimes my heart skips. That will not make me to be scared that, God, why? Or for me to ask God, why did you make me a man? No, I'm proud to be a man. All my life, I've never called any uncle and say, please, sir, I need this financial support from you, or any auntie to say please. So already I can't say it's affecting me, or already it's part of my life. If I have that financial stress, I don't have anybody to call because I can't. Should I say I'm on my own on this, or I'm all alone on this? But how do I manage it? That is where hustling comes in.
Many men who appear to be successful or responsible or dependable are actually dying underneath. Underneath, many of them are carrying grief, disappointment, fear, trauma, loneliness, depression even, that they've never shared with anyone. They've not shared with their partners. They don't share with their friends. They try to toughen it up. And sometimes they don't even face the truth themselves. They hide everything buried deep down. Being strong isn't pretending that nothing affects you. The real strength means that you know when to ask for help.
Around the world, the conversations around men's well-being is growing louder. According to the World Health Organization, more than 720,000 people die by suicide every year. Globally, men are more than twice as likely to die by suicide as women. Behind
something that is already there, you know that seeking support isn't a sign of weakness. It is actually one of the bravest decisions that you can make for yourself. Because when one man begins to heal, guess what? Families become healthier. Relationships become stronger. Communities become better, and the ripple effect, continues to go outwards, right, and affect everybody.
The demands of life may never disappear, but psychologists say Fulfillment isn't defined by how much we endure. It's found in purpose, in connection, and in having the space to be human, even when life expects us to be strong.
And now to the foreign saying United States has introduced a permanent visa ban program requiring some applicants from 50 countries, including 30 African nations, to pay security deposit of up to $20,000 for certain business and tourist visas. The policy, effective August 3, 2026, applies to B1 and B2 visa applicants and allows consular officers to require refundable bonds of $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000. The U.S. State Department said the measure is aimed at reducing visa overstays, while critics warn that the high deposit could discourage legitimate travelers and hurt tourism. Former Mali Prime Minister Moussa Mara has called for national unity, reconciliation, and empathy following his release after serving a one-year prison sentence. Mara, who was jailed for expressing support for detained opposition politicians on social media, urged Malians to forgive one another and work towards genuine reconciliation. In his first public message after his release, Mara also expressed concern over the disappearance of his lawyer and fellow politician, May Montaga Tall, who was reportedly abducted from his home in May. And now to sports. Team Nigeria will now shift its focus to the next generation of athletic stars as a promising squad heads to Oregon, United States, for the 2026 World Athletics Under-20 Championships, scheduled to take place from 5th to 9 August. Fresh from representing Nigeria at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, sprint sensation Miracle Ezechukwu and shot put silver medalist Jessica Oji headlined the Nigerian contingent for the Global Junior Championships. Ezechukwu, who reached the women's 100 meters semifinals at the Commonwealth Games, will compete in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the women's 4x100 meters relay. Meanwhile, Oji will contest both the women's shot put and discus throw. She travels to Oregon in fine form after winning shot put silver at the Commonwealth Games, reinforcing her reputation as one of Nigeria's brightest emerging field event athletes. Nigeria's Junior the Tigers and Junior the Tigers have arrived in Cote d'Ivoire ahead of the 2026 FIBA Under-18 AfroBasket Championships. The Nigerian contingents touched down in the host nation on Sunday night as preparations intensify for the continental tournament, which will be held from 5th to 16 August. In the men's tournament, Nigeria's men national under-18 basketball team have drawn in Group A alongside host Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, and Chad. In the women's competition, Nigeria's women's national under-18 basketball team have been drawn in Group C alongside Cameroon, Senegal, and Tunisia. Still in sports, Mauricio Pochettino has signed a new contract to remain head coach of the United States men's national team until 2030, extending his tenure after leading the Americans at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Pochettino, who first took charge on September 10, 2024, guided the USA to the round of 16 at the just concluded World Cup before their elimination by Belgium. The Argentine coach is a former Tottenham Hotspur and Paris Saint-Germain manager, bringing a wealth of top-level experience to the U.S. men's national team project. His new deal will see him lead the United States into the next cycle of major international competitions, with the 2030 FIFA World Cup among the key targets. And that's all we have for you tonight on the news. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258 on StarTime Channel 140, Evo TV app, Limex, World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website at www